Yuji was a loser member of the hero party who was kicked out for being weak. However, after leaving the country, the eccentric princess who is in love with him follows him. Now she will force him to live together while planning to trap him, so he will never leave her again. Before being kicked out, Yuji was working as a knight in the hero's party, fighting beside his powerful sister, Reina. But the party's sage, Leon, always believed he was a beta male. To prove his point, Leon created a magical barrier and challenged Yuji to destroy it with a simple sword. Yuji couldn't even scratch the barrier. Leon used this failure as final proof and humiliated Yuji by banishing him from the team. The poor warrior wannabe knight didn't fight back. Instead, he accepted this fate, changed his name to Red, and traveled to the quiet village of Zultan to start a new life. His main stop is the local adventurers guild, where he sells his daily haul to the receptionist, Mariel. As he leaves the guild, Red runs into a young local boy named Theo. He looks up to Red and promises that when he grows up to be a carpenter, he'll build a pharmacy shop for him. Later that night, Red is in his room counting the money he saved from selling all the medicinal herbs. He figures out it will take him at least 6 months to save enough to open his pharmacy. Suddenly, there is a frantic knock on his door. It turns out to be Theo's father, Gantz, who is panicking like a helpless man. He explains that Theo has come down with a serious illness and might lose his life. Immediately, Red goes to see if the kid is actually dying. Red claims that Theo has a rare disease called white eye. If they don't treat it within 24 hours, the boy will go blind forever. He explains that only a special herb called blood needles can cure him. Gantz is desperate to save his son, so he gets on his knees and offers to give Red 1 million gold coins in return. Without hesitation, Red decides to help, not for the money, but because Theo is his friend. Red moves through the mountains like an escaped criminal. He reaches the place where blood needles grow. Suddenly, an owlbear appears from the shadows and lunges at him, but Red calmly draws his sword and lands a deep cut across its chest like nothing. Then, Red gets the herbs to Gantz just in time, and they are able to cure Theo's illness. The boy's family and the local doctor are incredibly thankful. Later that night, as Red is strolling through the woods, Gantz approaches him to express his gratitude once more. As a master carpenter, he offers to build the pharmacy for Red as a reward for saving his son. During the shop's grand opening, Red overhears some customers talking about the fearless warrior named Reina and her recent victories. Hearing that the hero's party is succeeding without him gives him a sense of peace. Back at the Adventurers Guild, a famous A-rank adventurer named Rizzle arrives to turn in a report. She explains that they just had a party for the local pharmacy's grand opening. Rizzle is intrigued, and Mariel goes on to talk about the pharmacy's owner, calling him the most adventurous and handsome man in the village. On the other hand, Red's brand new pharmacy is a monumental flop. He's leaning on the counter, staring into space, and trying to figure out why he has 0 customers. Just then, the door chimes, and a woman walks in, instantly recognizing him and calling him by his old name, Yuji. It's the A-rank adventurer, Rizzle, and the two sit down for a warm cup of tea. It turns out that this Kim Kardashian-looking woman is actually the princess of a nation called Lagurva. However, she bailed on her royal life because she was sick of the political games that were tearing her family apart. After that, she met Red and his teammates, and they used to go on missions together. When Rizzle calls him by his old name, Yuji, he explains that he now goes by his new name, Red. Hearing this, she playfully flirts with him, teasing him to see how he reacts. Being the straightforward man he is, Red admits that he chose his new name because the tips of her ribbons were red. Surprisingly, she seems flattered by this awkward comment. She then asks what a former high-ranking knight is doing hiding out in a quiet town like Zultan. Red tells her that he was a liability to the group, but Rizzle disagrees and insists he was a strong warrior. To escape her fiery attitude, Red goes to the kitchen to prepare more tea. He brings it over to the table, and as Rizzle takes a sip, she smiles, saying it tastes just like the kind he used to make back in the day. The comment makes them both shy, as it brings back memories of their wilder days together. The memory takes them back to a noisy bar where they first met. A drunk old man was harassing a hooded woman, who, of course, was Rizzle. Before any of the heroes could intervene, she handled it herself, throwing the man to the ground with ease. She then smugly told the hero party she didn't need their help, proudly flexing her status as the princess of Lagurva. Back in the present, they recall a more recent memory of scouting in the mountains when it was just the two of them. As they chatted in the dead of night, Rizzle claimed she had found some strange tracks that led to an isolated cabin. Red cautiously listened and pointed out that the Demon Lord's army was probably involved. He suggested they team up to investigate, but Rizzle's pride got in the way. She refused, saying that Lagurva fights and wins its own battles without outside help. Red respected her decision and offered her some cookies, probably just to change the subject, but the curvy adventurer started drooling like a hungry pup and said they were delicious. In the present, Red teases her, saying her compliment was just polite talk. He insists Rizzle wasn't being honest with her feelings back then, and that she only learned to be truthful after confronting the demon General Shisant. This sparks another, much darker flashback, one set in the War Council of Lagurva. The kingdom's officials were panicking over their dwindling supplies. Rizzle proposed a clever plan to strike the demon army's food storage. Her mentor, the commander, praised her strategy and immediately put the plan into motion, assigning the hero's party to defend the castle. Unfortunately, the entire plan was a setup, a trap meant to bring down the kingdom of Lagurva. As the commander stood alongside the demons they were supposed to fight, his betrayal was laid bare. Just then, Red arrived at the scene and drove his sword straight through the commander's chest. In that instant, the man revealed his true form, the demon Shisant. The two had no choice but to fight the monstrous creature. Suddenly, Red's sister, Reyna, appeared on the battlefield. With surgical precision, she slashed off Shisant's arms and plunged her sword deep into his heart, ending the battle in one brutal strike. The experience left Rizzle completely shaken and speechless. She locked herself away for days, overwhelmed by grief for her fallen mentor and the soldiers who had died in the ambush. Red, concerned for her well-being, went to check on her. He found Rizzle on the verge of despair and gave her a firm, heartfelt talk, reminding her of her strength, her courage, and her duty as captain of her people.